One. Hey, Chris, welcome back to the podcast.
What's going on, Jay? I'm happy to be back on, man. It's a pleasure to be on your show, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate it. In between the last time you were here and now, I feel like you are like one of the hardest working men, hardest working podcasters that I know right now. I mean, every time I'm on Twitter, Facebook, you got a website up, you got some shirts up. I'm waiting for those hats to drop. Hey, Chris, man,
Got you. I
let the people
got you,
know
man.
what you're doing right now, some new things to the podcast and things like that.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I've been doing a lot since the last time I was on the show, and it's been busy. Like I said, it feels like each week I'm improving with everything and learning. Learning from so many people that we've networked with. We've networked with the same people and learning so much about podcasting and learning about being a better interviewer. And I've done a lot of interviews with some dope journalists and some authors and some NBA prospects. So that's something that I really enjoy, as far as the interview process and just getting that all together. And I've worked on the new website. I finally I created some websites, but I never like the look. I'm really
Okay,
big
okay.
on presentation because
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah. I
me,
feel that.
you ever look at a website and they can have good articles and stuff, but you just don't like how it looks. Like, this looks dull. So I
Yeah.
had some websites and I was like, it doesn't look sexy to me. It doesn't look sexy. I need to get, and so I shut down for a little bit and I was like, all right, let's get creative. And I saw someone's website and it was just, bam, it's very interactive. It was just popped up and like, oh, okay, I like this. So I kind of stole the idea ish. I took some pieces and like made it my, flipped it into my, my
Okay,
thing.
okay.
So I borrowed like how how they did it, and I'm like, okay, I like how that site looks. So I took me a little bit to figure out everything because when you make a site, it's so, man, I didn't realize how much work it is to make a website, but it's a lot of work. So I bought a website, then I bought a domain, and just went to work and figured out how to make a solid website. And took me a few weeks, some trial and error, and bam, made a website that I really like, and it's really come out of. So I started, doing some articles and stuff also I have on there. But like I said, doing that, the podcast, getting guests. I feel like I've really gotten some solid guests on my
You have,
show,
man.
in the last few months or so, which is I never thought would possibly get these amount of people on my show, and it just comes with just going after it and just emailing and emailing. I mean, how it works, man.
Yeah.
Email, and you're gonna get shut out a lot. Trust me. I probably swing and a miss on 70%, but all it takes is a few people to hit you up and say, hey, let's go on. So that's something that's been fun. And like I said, I got merchandise on the way too. That's my next venture. And I got my how it's gonna look. I got the designs. I've worked with some people by me that have really helped me out to try to get this thing going, get some merch going. So I'm excited about that. I mean, you saw the designs. I feel like I really like, because like I said again, I kept trying. I didn't like what I was seeing, and then finally I got the right people, and then they're like, and I finally got it going, and they showed me. I was like, this is it,
Yeah.
bam.
Yeah.
So at this point, I got the design. Now we're in production mode. Waiting to get to a warehouse and get these things going, and finally getting in my hands. So I'm really excited. Hopefully in the next week or two, I'll have them in my hands, and then I'll ship one out to you for sure, and some hats and stuff. So I'm excited about that. It feels like from where I started in the podcast. I mean, I remember you and Chris Powell were my first two guests. You guys
Yeah.
were my first two guests, and I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, hey guys, can you come on? And I just didn't, and it's crazy how much I've come from, that, and to come to now where, I'm not saying I'm a professional or anything, but I feel like I've grasped it, with time and just learning, like I said, networking with people like you and others, it feels like we have a
Yeah.
little community that we
Yeah.
kind of built, and we all help each other, and we all push everyone's work, which is really cool. So, man, it's just fun, man. The podcast game is fun. It's a lot of work, being solo. It's work. It's a lot of work, and but like at the end of the day, when I've said this so many times, when people hit you up and say, this is dope. Your show was dope, but this person or this episode was dope. I mean, it makes it worth it. So, man, I'm loving it, and I feel like I got more good things coming and more solid guests I'm working on right now. I got some hopefully got some guys that lined up in the next few weeks. So yeah, man, I'm excited for everything.
Yeah, man. One thing I've noticed, you mentioned kind of like the network. When I first started podcasting, I had no idea what I was doing either. Like,
Nah.
people, as sports fans, we watch TV, we listen to sports talk radio. You listen to a lot of Knicks stuff up there, up where you live. I do a lot of indie Colts and Pacers stuff where I live. But I listen to guys, but I had no idea how to format a show, how to reach out to a guest. I had no idea what to say, like the flow.
Yeah.
I had no idea about a microphone, like the headphones, like the whole Zoom thing. This is the first time I've used Zoom in my life is for the podcast, and I had no idea. And people think like Chris Powell, me, you. We had Jeff on. Me, you, and Jeff did the thing for the race thing. Yeah. People think like, oh, we're competing. Bro, we're not competing. Nah, it's not like ESPN and FS1 where they're literal competitors, companies. Yeah. We're not competing at all. Like, you got an idea. Like,
all
I
love,
reach out
man.
to
it's all love, man. We try to help each other out because we're independent. We're independent, creators.
Yeah.
And the more you help out everyone else, the better it is. And I always see it that way. I'm not making any money yet with this. Of course, everyone wants to make money. We all want to eventually, maybe down the line, get to a Fox Sports or ESPN, CBS. That's always. Of course, we all would love that. But right now, it's all about helping each other, man.
Yeah, man.
We help each other. If I didn't have guys like you and Jeff and all these other guys, helping me out, and learning from you guys, I don't know how good I would be because. Like we said, man, I'm sure your first couple of shows. I know my first couple of shows. I didn't know the hell. I just literally just put on the microphone and just talk.
Yeah.
And it was no structure. There was no transition. There was a lot of and you're like, oh, and then you look back. I'm like, oh my god, it was horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible. And now, but that's good though because you learn.
Right.
That's what it's about. It's learning. I'm still learning. I'm sure you're still learning.
Yeah.
The Zoom thing too. I'm like, the Zoom just got popular. Since pretty much since the pandemic. It feels like it got popular, but I didn't know a thing about it before that. I never heard of Zoom before that. And people's like, oh yeah, you go to Zoom and it's free if you just do a one-on-one. I was like, oh, I could have been doing that for forever.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what kind of video service. If I want to do videos and stuff, I was like, I didn't know about Zoom. But you learn. People tell you, and then that's how you learn, man. And that's what's good about networking with people. You learn about things. I'm learning about editing videos. That's my next thing. I'm trying to figure out making like scouting videos with about prospects and talking about just
I'm about to call you Ethan Piota, man. I'm about to call you Ethan because he's doing a phenomenal job with that.
That's my guy too.
Yes,
man.
sir.
Yeah, man, he's so dope. He's so dope. He's getting big. Since I've had him on the show, maybe around March, just before everything went crazy. I think that day is when I had him on when everything stopped, and he's gotten big and he's really dope at it. But that also shows that there's so many talented people that are not on these networks that
right.
We see all these analysts and stuff, but I'm like guys like him, like he knows everything.
Homie, bro, he's in college.
Yeah.
He is in college right now,
yeah.
And he's learning how to like format stuff on the internet. Has his own YouTube page, the podcast, interviewing athletes. I'm like, at that age, he has now. He has way more tools at his age than we did when we were his age, man.
I wish I had those.
He's just doing it all and doing it big. And I got to Ethan after you did. I was like, hold on, who was it? I'm just gonna say it. Who was this little white boy that's this good behind the mic? And like, I'm just, what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be racist, y'all. I know we in a touchy time right now, but me and Chris know each other.
Man, I thought the same thing. I'm like, I put him on. I wasn't sure I was gonna get. I was like, I followed him on Twitter. I was like, he knows what you're talking about. Let me hit him up, see if he wants to come on, and maybe we could talk. Because I love talking the draft, and I feel like I know a lot about the draft.
You do.
But when I talk to him, I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Oh man, I'm an amateur when it comes to him. Like he knows everything. I'm telling him about random play. He told me about a player that I don't even know the school's name. I think it was Grant Ryler. He told me about College of Charleston, or it was someone else, but it might have been Grant Ryler. He told me about him months ago, and I haven't really heard about Grant Ryler. Now Grant Ryler's rising up real quick, where he could be a first rounder, maybe lottery pick. So he told me about a lot of guys. But he's great, man, and that's what's good about like I said, that little community we have. It feels like that there's so many I forgot I had an NFL draft dude. I can't.
Ryan
was it
Roberts.
Ryan Roberts. Yeah, I
So
had
good,
him on.
man. So
Another
good.
dude. Another
Yes.
dude who's super talented, and it's crazy how I had him on, and then he's blew up, and now I think he's like the lead guy and at NFL Draft Bible. So
Yeah.
it's like I said, man. There's so many talented people out there that just because they're not on these major networks, you got to find these people and get their and watch their work and read their work, because there's a lot of talented people out there that not, like I said, that are not on these big networks that you need to go follow, and they'll give you just as much information, if not more.
Right.
So and I love trying to get those guys on the show and just listening to them, because these kids, some of these youngins, man, that they really know this stuff.
Yes,
and
sir.
like you said before, man, it's crazy because everything going on with technology and stuff. There's so much, podcasting. When how old are you?
31.
I'm 31 too. So
Okay.
when I was in college, we didn't have podcasts. Like, podcasts weren't. I mean, they might have been podcasts.
You know what's crazy? Bill Simmons started a podcast in like 03 or 04.
Yeah.
And maybe in like early 2000s. But Bill Simmons was already thinking 5-6 steps ahead of everybody else. So, like, even though we kind of had computers and stuff in school, I ain't know nothing about a podcast. No, it was like, if you want sports talk, you better go to your radio, go to your car, sit there for an hour or two, and listen to the local man talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Sports Center, whatever. You didn't even think about audio. Like, I could listen to people talk about sports on a podcast, like an audio. Like, that wasn't, obviously phones weren't, they didn't have all these apps and stuff, so it wasn't obtainable. So it's just crazy how all these, everyone, you should take advantage of all these tools.
Yes, sir.
All these young
yes,
kids.
Sir.
There's so many more avenues to make your own way. And I'm a little late in the game, but hey, I'm trying to get my own. We're trying to get our own piece of the pie. And try to do, try to fit in this world. But it's fun though, man. It's like I said, these young kids, man, they get smart. Like I said, those two guys that we just talked about, we both had them on our shows, man. Brilliant. I mean, those two are going to get real far.
Yes, sir.
Sure. But man, it's fun though. I mean, it's fun networking with all these people, man. I'm enjoying it so much.
We talked for about 10 minutes about just like brilliance, connecting, networking, and you mentioned a word called talent. There's a team in your area. I know you had got a basketball podcast. We're gonna do a little football talk today, bro.
Yeah.
So there's a team in your area, the New York Football Giants. They tried to get some talent. They need a lot of talent based off of the past 2 to 3 years. They need a lot of talent to. Well, they went 4-12 last year, and they're trying to get 6, 8, 10, hopefully 11, so they can solidify a spot in the playoffs. And this draft they got, man, I was kind of shocked with the Andrew Thomas pick in the first round. I was leaning more towards Isaiah Simmons, a very versatile guy. But you can't go wrong with Andrew Thomas first, man. What were you thinking about talent, trying to get some more talent? What were you thinking during the draft about how the Giants kind of put this thing together?
You know what? I fell in love with Isaiah Simmons early in the process, and watching him, play in the playoffs, in the college football playoff. He's super versatile, can move everywhere, can do everything, and that's what the Giants needed. But to me, you have to protect your franchise quarterback.
I love it.
No matter what.
I love it.
So, as much as I loved Isaiah Simmons, I felt like he could do everything. Getting offensive tackle was priority number one.
Yes, sir.
No matter what. So, and I felt like with the linebacker class, you might not find Isaiah Simmons in round 2 or 3, but you can get a solid, player in those rounds. But to me, at 4, whether they had traded, I wish they would have traded down, but it didn't happen, which is fine. But Andrew Thomas can run block, and that's also an issue on this team too. The run block is bad. Saquon couldn't find holes. Saquon's big runs were all on him. It was him making a play, him making a couple guys miss, and them going. You can't rely on that every play.
No,
you can't. It's just not obtainable. And if you watched a lot of Giant games like I did, you saw he had a lot of plays of 0, 1 yards, negative yardage, and you just can't rely on that. And so I'm happy with how they handled the draft. They got 3 or 4 linemen. One obviously is going to start with, the other 2 guys, they took one from UConn and they took Lemieux from I think Oregon. Those are more project guys. Andrew Thomas obviously going to come in and probably going to start up at right tackle, and then eventually, maybe by next year, he'll be the left tackle with Solder. I mean, Solder's been a disaster. So I like how they did the draft. They worked on the line. The problem is defensively, this team it's not good. It's not good. It's still the linebacking core is still suspect. It's been suspect since since Antonio Pierce was there. I mean, and it feels like that was over a decade ago. Even when we won the Super Bowl,
It really does, man. That felt like a long time ago.
Yeah, they haven't drafted a first round linebacker in a long time. I mean, if I remember, I think the last time I took a first round linebacker was probably Carl Banks or something. It's probably been that long. I could be wrong, but it feels like it's that long.
Yeah.
And and the pass rusher situation, we got some young guys there. With Carter and Zimenez we took last year, but they're raw, and it's questionable. That's questionable right there. And I like the interior. The interior is fine, but everything else, the corners. I mean, we got 87 corners. It feels like, and no one. We signed a dude from Carolina. I can't think of his name right now, but we signed a dude from Carolina. He's solid. He's a solid vet, but he's solid. I feel like our corner situation, we can never figure that out. Especially we busted on a lot of corners, and DeAndre Baker might be another bust. He's had an interesting offseason, to say the least. I'm not crazy about the defense, and that's going to put you in a lot of games, a lot of shootouts, and we don't know if Daniel Jones is ready for that. If he takes that next step, then he can make it for the lack of defense. But if he takes a Baker Mayfield year 2 type of progression and he digresses, then this team might be on the clock next year. It's crazy because they can range out from being a 3-win football team to maybe an 7-8 win football team. The range is kind of that around there, where we can have no more pick, or we can fight for a wild card spot. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I like what they did with the draft. I felt like they got some big boys. Started with Andrew Thomas, and that's definitely a good thing. We got Hernandez on there, and we just got to fix everything else. But you got to protect your core franchise quarterback, and you got to protect your franchise running back. And if you don't do that, it's going to be tough. But we got some weapons on the outside. Obviously it's not Odell Beckham. That's tough losing him last year. I'm still not over it. But still not over it.
That's one of those things where it's like, as a fan, like no matter if you like Odell's personality or not, you recognize and accept the talent that he is, and you're like, whatever you do, keep the locker room safe, make sure nobody's wacko and crazy, and then make sure you keep Odell there. Y'all didn't do it.
No. And they blamed a lot of the locker room stuff on him, and then when we traded him, the locker room was just as bad.
Right.
So they played a little blame on him. Meanwhile, we were just as bad of a football team.
Mm-hmm.
The locker room was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was a mess. So it showed that it wasn't him. He's a diva wide receiver, if you want to say that. But a lot of receivers are divas. And I feel like a talent like that, it makes guys like Daniel Jones their progression that much easier when you got guys like that. And he was frustrated with losing. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't get frustrated with losing? It's frustrating.
Yes, extremely.
And he got tired of it. And obviously he got big off the that catch he had in Dallas, and all the catches he made. And I miss having him on the team, man. Even though we were not good football team with him, at least we know, okay, I'm going to at least watch Odell ball out.
Right.
At least we have that aspect,
He did. I feel like he played more games for the Giants than he's played for the Browns. I know he's been injured in both places, but I feel like in Cleveland he's not really played much.
Yeah. And he's banged up. He's banged up too, and he didn't look healthy the last, he's been having healthy probably the last 2-3 years, and it's kind of hurt his production and stuff. But he's still Odell to me. He's still the man, and I miss him in New York. I know he misses New York too. I know he didn't want to go to Cleveland, but the Giants are being petty and like, all right, we're gonna put you in Cleveland. We're gonna trade you to Cleveland.
Yeah.
But we still got some solid. We got Golden Tate. We got Slayton, who we took last year from Auburn. Ingram's still here. They might trade him too. They're just like trading good receivers for some reason. But that's what the Giants do.
Yeah.
They just trade good players, but it's. I don't know, man. This team, like I said, man, this team ranges so much. I wouldn't be shocked if you're telling me that do they have the number 1 pick next year? And then that gets real interesting.
It does.
It does get real interesting.
It does, because you already know there's going to be a quarterback named Sunshine that's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick. You're going to have Sunshine. Some may say Justin Fields. I'm an Ohio State guy, but I'm still picking Sunshine over Justin Fields myself. He's showed me. If y'all don't know who I'm talking about, it's Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. I like nicknames. I find him funny, man. But Trevor Lawrence to me is that guy. But it would be very – I was going to go to the defense, but you already mentioned it. Like, let's go to defense. You mentioned the defense earlier and the struggles, and this wasn't really like the plan for this portion right now, but we can go ahead and go this route. Why do you think the defense has struggled for so long? Because it wasn't just last year. I mean, if you go back the year before that, the year before that, the defense has struggled. And you can't say it's Eli Manning's fault, because Eli Manning doesn't play defense, and he didn't even play most of the year last year. So you're like, well, Eli's the reason the team sucks. He's no longer there, and he's quarterback. He doesn't play on the defense side of the ball. Why do you think the defense has struggled the way that it has?
I think it comes down to, the drafting has been really poor. They've drafted really, really poor, and they've missed out on a lot of guys. Like I said, the secondary, Eli Apple was a disaster. They traded what's his face? He went to Washington last year. The safety, I can't believe I can't think of his name right now, but they let him go. It's going to come to me later, but I can't think of his name. He went to Alabama. I can't think of his name right now, but they've lost a lot of guys. They just haven't drafted well. It's pretty much that simple. And something, when they won the last 2 Super Bowl championships they won, what's been the main thing? It's the front 4.
Yes, sir.
Be able to just rush 4 guys. That first run with Tuck, Strahan, OC, Kiwanuka, he was hurt that year, but they had an abundance of pass rushers. The second time, JPP, Justin Tuck, they had so many guys, and we've fallen off from that. That we haven't really had a pass rush. I mean, we had like 20-something sacks last year. It was pitiful. I mean, I watched games where guys were just spinning around in circles trying to get – and the quarterbacks just have all day and that makes your secondary worse. Your secondary can only cover for so long. So it makes the secondary look bad. And they got to get back to finding pass rushers. That's the staple of New York Giants football. You think New York Giants football, you think Lawrence Taylor, especially those first 2 Super Bowls, you think Lawrence Taylor and the wreckage he caused, and those last 2 Super Bowls, the pass rush. I mean, Justin Tuck probably should have won the Super Bowl MVP year 1. I mean, when Eli won it, because he was the most important player. He was dominant. You watch that game, he was the most dominant player. And the same thing with the second one. Him and JPP were wrecking havoc. That's the reason and we're going against Tom Brady. Tom Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, if not the GOAT. And we made him uncomfortable. That's how you win. You make quarterbacks uncomfortable. I don't care how great they are. Peyton Manning, no matter what, you make them uncomfortable, then good things are going to happen. We haven't been close to that, and that's why this team has struggled. No pass rush, no protection. If you don't have a pass rush and you don't protect your quarterback, bad things are just going to happen. Quarterbacks are going to get killed. The games are going to get crazy.
Been there, man. Seen it numerous times with the Colts, man. It's ugly.
You've seen it with the Colts. You saw especially that first when that first year, Peyton, when he was gone, the team looked – and it really showed that Peyton covered up so many holes.
Yes, sir.
Because of his greatness.
Man, his brain is out of this world.
Yeah, and he was able to make up for a lot of holes you had in the team. And when he's gone, now everything is exposed. And that's kind of with the Giants. We just got exposed a lot, and we got to get back to building that foundation. It starts with your lines up front. You get your big boys up front, and you work your way inside out, and you build that team. And the Giants got to get back to that. And hopefully, I don't know how they're going to look with Gettleman. I'm not the biggest Gettleman fan. I don't like a lot of the moves he's made, especially free agency. He's kind of really messed up there. Drafts have actually been okay. His draft's been okay. I still am a big that you don't take a running back with the second pick. Unless you have every part of your team ready and you just happen. And like the Cowboys, like their situation when they took Zeke, they kind of had everything in set. They just needed that running back that could do it.
And they had the offensive line set for him. Exactly. A quarterback who's young, but he's still there. I think he came in before. I forget if him and Dak were the same age.
Dak was the same class, yeah.
Okay. So you got Dak. I think Romo was still there at that time.
Yeah.
So you kind of had the offensive pieces there. I think Dez was still there as well. Mm-hmm. So you had the offense there. It kind of made sense that this is a running back we can't pass up on. Saquon's kind of the same way. Well, the Giants have numerous holes every year. So like, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah, I just don't believe taking her, and I still believe that. I love Saquon. Doesn't mean I don't like Saquon. Doesn't mean I don't think he's a great running back. Doesn't mean I don't think he'll be a Hall of Fame running back. I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. And they could have went second round and got Nick Chubb and got just as much as production. If they took a Barkley or an Allen, a quarterback, you're a year ahead of the process. You're a year ahead. I think Sam Darnold's going to be good. He just the way they built the Jets to build the team hasn't been great. But if we have Sam Darnold and go into year 3 right now, and you got a Nick Chubb in the backfield, I'm probably a little bit more optimistic about the team. But,
Right.
It's I still, like I said, I still go on the fence and say that they should have took a running back, and with the second pick in the draft, we have quarterbacks. You can pretty much pick whatever quarterback you want. I think they might drop the ball there, but we're gonna have to see how Daniel Jones progresses. But it starts with that defense too. If you get a pass rush, that makes your life so much easy. Having being a Colts fan, Mathis and Freeney, man, that combo was lethal.
Hey, man, they destroyed quarterbacks and offensive lines every
That's
week.
Spin move, man.
You couldn't do anything with them.
Exactly. So how important having a pass rush is, and then if you have the quarterback and the offense going, I mean that's a combo that usually gets you far. So we have to establish that. We feel like we got the quarterback. Now we got to get, we feel like we got our tackle of the future, our left tackle of the future. We got the running back, got weapons on offense. Just got to get that pass rush. You don't have pass rush, you're going to be in a lot of shootouts, and you can't expect a second-year guy to save you unless he takes that next step and he becomes Patrick Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson, where they go on win MVPs in their second years. But I don't know if Daniel has that in him. I hope so. I'd be happy, because that means you're a playoff team and you're contending. But you're gonna need that pass rush. You're gonna need that pass rush, because having 20 sacks, and Shaq Barrett had 20 sacks by himself, that's not good. So gotta get that. We gotta figure out that pass rush. But it all depends on the development of these guys. With new coaching staff and stuff, with Joe Judge, see how they develop these guys, and and we're just gonna have to wait and see. But it's tough to see with no OTAs and stuff. It's hard to see how we can't really know if you're hearing good things in camp about these guys, how they're progressing. Obviously, there's no training camp, so we don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do with the pass rush. But I'm not overly optimistic about it.
One thing I'm optimistic about, and you mentioned this guy's name a few times, Daniel Jones taking a step forward. I won't say he's going to be like a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback this season, but I am very optimistic that he is going to be getting better, not stagnant, but getting better in his second year. And primarily, this is mainly because you have Jason Garrett there, a guy who used to actually wear the Giants colors as a backup quarterback. I think he backed up Kerry Collins in between 2000 and 2003. I pulled up his stats here. Y'all may laugh at this while I say this. But he played quarterback. Yeah, his stats weren't that good, and that's why I kind of believe he's going to be a good offensive coordinator there. He only threw for his career 2,042 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 56.1 completion percentage. And you know what? Most guys that are like that as the backup quarterback don't get much clock, don't get much PT. They're normally phenomenal coordinators. Now, him being a head coach, you remember Jason Garrett's a head coach, basically another Jeff Fisher, Mr. 8-8, Mr. Average kind of guy. He had talent. He got to the playoffs, but he didn't go anywhere when he got there. And so I honestly believe that Jason Garrett, not just going back to New York, but Jason Garrett not having the pressure, one, of Jerry Jones being your boss, but two, and we saw Jerry Jones trying to use pressure to keep Garrett there in Dallas, but also two, you're not the head coach, and being a head coach, you have the weight of your team. If there's a problem, you answer for everything. Now, all you're answering for is Daniel Jones, the offense, the progression for them getting better. And I honestly believe, Chris, that with Jason Garrett not having that pressure of a new boss, not having the pressure of being a head coach, he can focus on what he knows, which is offense, focus on his young quarterback, which is Daniel Jones, and the offense there. I mean, they have talent. It's not like the Giants don't have talent now. You got Saquon. You mentioned Evan Ingram. I think you said Golden. I forgot.
Golden Tate. Yeah.
You got Golden Tate.
Slayton. They got weapons.
You have weapons, yes. And I think they were just mismanaged because there was a guy there that didn't know how to put the pieces to the puzzle together. But I'm thinking, and I believe, Daniel Jones will take the next step there, Chris, because I believe that Jason Garrett is going to have a renewed life, renewed vision going into this season because he doesn't have the weight of being a head coach on him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good addition. I definitely like the addition of Jason Garrett. But if he does do all that, that's just going to put him in line for a head coaching job too.
It will. It will.
Because, he's got, he has the experience of being a head coach and with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, how high pressure that job is, and quote unquote America's team. But I'm not going to say that. I would never.
I was hoping you were, man. I was hoping you just let it out.
Nah, I would never call them America's team. Never. But but yeah, that's a good addition. I definitely like the addition of Jason Garrett. I think that's going to be huge because when he was a coordinator of the Cowboys, he did great things.
Yes.
And obviously when you become a head coach, and I think he gets obviously he didn't take them to the next level, and
right.
But I feel like he got a lot of flack, and he didn't have the control too that he probably could have, especially calling plays and stuff. But and when you got Jerry Jones. He's
too much sometimes.
He didn't get along with Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy Johnson got him 2 Super Bowls. I mean, he fired, Tom Landry.
Yes.
So I think people, they like to trash on Jason Garrett, but that's a hard job, especially when the owner is the GM too. And you gotta that dynamic that's a horrible dynamic, and and it's a reason why they haven't been to an NFC championship since they won the Super Bowl in 95?
Yeah.
So
man, that was 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. Those glory days, and we're just talking about an NFC championship game, not even a Super Bowl. I'm just talking about to get to an NFC championship game. It's been since 95. So that's a lot of pressure, and like I said, he didn't get full control, and then so I think he gets a kind of an unfair rap, but I'm excited to have him aboard. I think he's going to do great things with Daniel Jones, and he has abundance of talent, and hopefully he can get that offensive line working. I mean, he had a tremendous offensive line in Dallas. Obviously they drafted great. They had like 4 Pro Bowlers on that line. We don't have that. We're not close, but maybe he could just find cohesiveness and just have build this line to be solid. So I'm excited to have him aboard. I think this is tremendous for Daniel Jones. It may suck if Daniel Jones takes the next level, and then he's got to have another new offensive coordinator. But hopefully, that means that Daniel Jones is ready to just, it doesn't matter who comes in. He can just do his thing. So hopefully that's the case. But Jason Garrett, I think it's a tremendous addition to this team. And, I think Joe Judge, I've been on and off with Joe Judge. He's been, I just – it feels like all these New England guys come in and try to run, how the Belichick way, and the Belichick way doesn't really – I mean, Tom Brady got tired of the Belichick way. Gronk got tired of Belichick way, and they were winning Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It gets tiring. So, I mean, when you come to a new team, it's hard to implement that style when, Belichick can do it because it's his style. He's been doing it for 20 years, and it's been a success. So, Joe Judge is not naming starters and saying that, guys like, Saquon's got to fight for a job. I didn't like that. Like, Saquon's a starting running back. Come on now. Daniel Jones is a starting quarterback. Come on. All right. I know it's coach. Sometimes it's too much coach talk. Like, it's all an open competition. No. Daniel Jones is a starting quarterback. Saquon's a starting running back. The guys who are starting. You don't have to do all that. But, hopefully he can come in and implement, just get back to Giants football. And that's what we're looking for. But he's hired some solid coaches. He's definitely hired some solid coaches. So I'm just waiting to see how. I'm just anxious to get sports to see how this team will look on the field, at least for training camp. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team works.
With Joe Judge, one thing quickly about him, and then I'm going to ask you one thing about the Knicks. This was not planned, but hey, man, we got time.
Man, you're going to try and mess up my night even more talking about them. Come on now. I talk about them enough. I get sad enough talking about them, bro. Man, when I come on if you said that. Yeah, you tricked me. You tricked me, Jay, bro. All right.
Hey, I get these thoughts in my head, man. Sometimes I got to run with them, man.
Man. All right.
With Joe Judge, and if people don't know, me and Chris are cool. Like, I'm sure if I come on his again, he may throw a curveball at me that it just doesn't hit me right. I get a little upset jokingly, but it's sports, man. We got to have fun with it. But one thing I noticed about Joe Judge, 2 things. One, he has been under Nick Saban or Bill Belichick since 2009. That's insane. I mean, for 11 years, okay, let's say 10 years. For 10 years of your coaching career, you have been with two of the best coaches at their level. Saban in college, Belichick. I don't know a better NFL football coach other than Bill Belichick, honestly. But then also, he's at the whole entire time, he's been with the special teams, either special teams assistant, special teams coordinator. Last year, he went between wide receivers coach and special teams coordinator. So I am very curious. Now, his first opening press conference, he kind of won the press conference, but that's a press conference. I want to see him week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, once the pressure starts hitting, once that, you know how it is, that New York media starts being exactly how the New York media is going to be. I'm curious to see how he handles the pressure. We saw Josh McDaniels, and I'm going to bring this up because I was not very happy. Josh McDaniels said, I'm going to take the coach job, and then he dipped. Joe Judge, sir, you got the shield of a Saban and a Belichick when they had all the pressure. Right now, the light is on you. And, Chris, I know you and all the Giants fans are very curious how this man's going to be under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a test. I mean, obviously, like you said, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, those are big-time coaches. And he even looks like he coached under them. Just the way he presents himself. He presents himself like he looks like an undercover cop. A lot of times. He's got that look, like that stern, serious look, and that could rub people off. So, like I said before, you can't run that style just because you were part of those styles. It works for Nick Saban at Alabama, and it works for Belichick in New England. As we've seen, a lot of those, the Saban tree and the Belichick tree, they try to do their own thing, and it don't work out because it doesn't work everywhere else. So I just hope he doesn't try to just make this all, try to make it the New England way and stuff. Do it a way that that's going to adapt to the to the player, because obviously we're in a different time, a different athlete. Today's athlete's a lot different from the previous generation.
Yes, sir.
So you have to adapt. You have to adapt, or else we'll be looking for a new head coach in 2 years, and you'll be another Belichick coach that failed. And we've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of failed Belichick coaches, and it's. I just hope he comes in and just, doesn't try to be a dictator and just lets us, because obviously he's a special teams coach. So, he's not coming in, it's not like his offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, and his style.
Yeah.
We don't know what type of style.
Right.
I don't know what type of, how the team's going to look, how the offense is going to look. Is it going to be on tempo, or are they going to be more slow paced? I don't know. I don't know what the defense is going to be, how their front's going to be. They're going to run a lot of multiples, 3-4. They're going to run a lot of cover 2. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to do the same thing with Belichick. Belichick does a lot of different things, defensively, So I really don't know how to judge him, no pun intended. I don't know how.
I like that. I like that.
So it's man, it's going to be interesting to see, but I just hope we don't have to get, we're not in this same position 2 years from now because he just did too much. I'm looking right now. We've had 5 coaches since 2015.
That's one a year, man,
including Judge. So it's pretty much it's a one a year. So this is our 5th straight. It feels like the 5th straight. With a different coach. So we need continuity. We just need stability. And like the next team that unfortunately you're going to talk about, it's the same thing with them. Stability. It feels like the Giants looked at the Knicks. It's like, we could do that, but we could do it worse. And it feels like it's been rough. It's been rough, but hopefully Judge can come in and do his thing, because Shermer, Ben McAdoo, man, they were bad. So hopefully Judge is not another one of those guys where they're done in 2 years. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I just don't know what. It's weird because you don't know what philosophies he's gonna run. You don't know like Jason Garrett. What type of offense he could run. You get a better feel of how he's gonna run the team.
Right.
Like Joe Judge, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna want to run the ball 35 times a game and run Saquon to the ground. I don't know. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he works with these guys.
See, Chris, I'm not even going to bring up any Knicks slander. I'm not going to talk trash about the Knicks. None of that stuff at all. I'm going to the draft's coming up, and y'all have a chance to get a good player. I'm just going to ask you, what player do you see being the best fit for the Knicks in the draft? That's a realistic fit. See, I could have gone back and started talking trash and said the Knicks are horrible. The Knicks have been embarrassing.
James
Dolan.
Dolan, oh man, he's in the
See,
news again.
see,
Yeah,
I could have done that, man. But I'm trying to be a nice guy, Chris. The draft coming up, man. I think it's going to be October. I think is the draft. My dates are all off, man.
I think August 25th is the lottery.
Okay.
And then I think right after the finals, I think like a week later is the draft.
Okay.
I believe. If I remember. But yeah, it's I know it's right after the finals. But the lottery is the 25th, so we'll know what pick they'll have. So I think you could get a better feel of because this draft's all over the place, man.
It is.
It's I said this before, like your number one player could be someone else's like 18th player. I've seen so many different. That's why I like to see all these guys. And check out, who they think they like, because you may like one guy, LaMelo Ball, but at 1, and then people have LaMelo at 10.
Yeah.
Killian Hayes, same way. Obi Toppin, same way. See people have him number 1 and have him at 16. This draft, it's such a wide range draft it's but as far as the Knicks and who's a best player, they need a point guard. They haven't had a point guard a long.
You thinking LaMelo Ball? You thinking R.J. Hampton? Who you thinking, man?
You know what? I wasn't crazy about LaMelo. I worried about all the other factors besides his game. I feel like his in-game stuff can all be worked on if he wants it, because he's very lackadaisical. He could be tough to coach.
Yeah. But
he's supremely talented. That's for sure. He can score. He's a tremendous passer. I don't think people give him enough credit for his passing. He's growing. He went from being a peanut to being a 6'8".
Correct.
So his vision is tremendous, and I know it comes with a lot of bag. I know it comes with big baller brand, and a certain LeVar Ball will come in, and New York City, man, we got so much press here that the cameras and the microphones will be pointed at him, and that's the one issue that I have. Is that all that other stuff,
right?
And how that can affect the team, and the coaches don't want to deal with that. They don't, and they don't want to be questioned about their job and questioned about how they're coaching and all that. So, but we're already. I'm like, what? This team's already a circus. Why not add another element to our circus?
Yeah.
And let's get them, and hopefully, we could get some vets that could help him out and take him to the next level. Because to me, he's the best player in the draft. I was a big Obi Toppin guy. Still like Obi Toppin. I think he's tremendous. But when you take someone number 1, you're taking someone who's going to be great now, but also you think that they're going to be an all-star Hall of Fame type player. You take someone number 1, you think that they're going to change the franchise.
Yeah.
Melo can possibly be that guy. I say he's a tremendous passer. Pick and roll with him and Mitch, and him and RJ can possibly be a tremendous 1-2 combo.
Yeah,
it can excite me, but it all depends where we draft. If we're outside the top 3, probably not going to get him. But if the NBA guys bless us, like they didn't do last year, and not getting Zion, which still torments me. That you don't understand how upset I was.
I don't know if he.
I didn't even care about Kevin Durant and Kyrie. I was like, give me Zion, and I'm happy. But didn't happen. But I don't want to think about the past anymore if it hurts. But, hopefully we they get the 1-1 pick, and we take Melo, and we'll take it from there. I like Killian Hayes also. I think he's tremendous.
You love Killian Hayes.
I love Killian Hayes too. I think he's, I love his game. He's got to work on his right. But I feel like all his flaws are all things that can be easily fixed. And I think he's a potential all-star type player. But there's a lot of good guards in this draft, and the Knicks got to get one. Tyrese Halliburton's another good one I like a lot. Maxey's a good one. R.J. Hampton, he's more of a combo, guard. Cole Anthony, bringing him back. Greg Anthony was a Knick. Had some good memories with Greg Anthony. Cole Anthony was banged up last year. UNC struggled last year, but he's athletic, and he could score too. So there's a lot of good guards, but I think they're all in on LaMelo, and I think they're going to try to figure out a way to get. They got an extra first-round pick. If they got to move up to get him, I think that's what they'll do. I think they want LaMelo. They want that star, that big-time star. He has a lot of star power, kind of like how Zion is, where he just is Zion just got star appeal. I mean, he's just a superstar already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got star. You know, he just ticket sales and all. Not that the Knicks need to sell tickets, but he's just box office.
Right.
And Zion's box office, and they missed out on him last year. And hopefully they get their box office guy, and just, you know, even if we're bad, at least we'll look good. We'll play. You know, we'll look sexy. You know, that's what you need. You know, at least we got too many. You know, we play bad and then we look bad, and that just makes it worse. At least when you got, you know, some good players who are exciting, we could take the losses. But, you know, as long as we, you know, look exciting and have some guys that make us have hope. You know, last year felt like hopeless. It really felt like we're never going to be good. Like it was so sad. Like everything just. Oh man, Jay, you bring it back bad memories, man. I'm about to cry. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, let's hope we get LaMelo. I don't want to talk about the past no more. That's why I make sure. That's why I make sure on my show I don't talk about the off season, because it's just, I remember each day, and I have Nets fans as friends. I have a couple Nets fans as friends, and the day free agency happened, and I knew that they would. He lives. One of my buddies. He used to live across the street from me, and his parents still there, and he called me. He was like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I'm like, "Yo, leave me alone." He just looked, and then I go outside. He's looking. They're all wearing the net stuff, and they're just like, "Hey buddy, what's going on?" I was like, "Shut up." It's like, "Hey, at least you got Zion." They're like, "Oh," they're like, "Oh no, you didn't get him." I was like, "Shut up." But you know, it's being a Knicks fan, man. It's not like any other team in the league. It's it's a love-hate relationship. So you know. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see how the draft happens, man.
We'll see. We'll definitely see. I try to be optimistic, Chris. Optimistic about the Knicks. I am believing, not sure why, but I'm believing they'll be better next season than they were over the past 5 to 10 years. I am believing that the Giants will take steps forward in this upcoming season. Chris Lebron, thank you so much. Take some time to let the people know where they can catch you, your podcast. Remind them about some stuff you're doing new from last time to this time. And if they want to connect with you via social media, throw that out there as well.
Yeah, so Off the Ball Podcast, you can find me. I'm on all podcast platforms, you know, so you just go on my Anchor profile, and obviously you could click, you know, whatever link, it'll direct you right there. But like I said, all available on all podcast platforms. I'm on YouTube right now too. I post some of my shows on YouTube. That's something I'm working on, and definitely trying to spice up the YouTube content a little bit more. So I'm working on that, learning all this video editing stuff. You know, I'm doing that also on SoundCloud also, and you know, you can check out all the links also are available on the Off the Ball podcast. So you can find there. I write some articles from time to time there. You know, I put some stuff on there. I got some guys also helping me with the site too, and I got, like I said, merchandise on the way. I'm excited. Shirts, hats, wristbands. I'm excited about doing all that, you know, so I'm really excited about that. Can't wait to get that in my hands. And, you know, the podcast, you know, doing, since last time I was on your show, you know, doing a lot more interviews.
Yes, sir.
I had it, you know, doing some, working on like a series where I'm interviewing a lot of draft prospects. I got 2 guys I already did, one from NIU, Northern Illinois University, and another one from FIU University. Those 2 interviews are available. Check them out, because it's not just talking about basketball. It's talking about their journey. And both those guys' journeys to where they've got, you know, one guy was a walk-on and became the shot blocking leader in the country.
Oh, wow.
College basketball. Another guy was a 1 scholarship, and he took that 1 scholarship and became the all-time leading scorer in Northern Illinois history. And first person in his school history to get 2,000 points. 20 points a game his sophomore, junior, senior after not playing much and almost transferred. So the stories with those 2 guys are fun, and I like to do a lot of stories. I also interviewed author of Michael Jordan, The Life. That was tremendous. I did that. That one was, that might be my favorite one, because that one, it's very informative. The guy was, you know, he wrote a whole book about Michael Jordan's life from you know, he talked about his great grandparents and all they went through slavery and just being mistreated. You know, that it's a tremendous, you know, he was such full of knowledge. But, you know, a lot of interviews, doing a lot of local, I got a lot of journalists on, especially Knicks journalists. I've talked a lot. NBA draft guys, draft analysts. Going to have more of that. Going to do more prospects, NBA draft prospects also, and just doing just try to do as much as possible. I got some stuff lined up in the next few weeks, working on some guys that come on the show. So I'm excited about that. So you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram, Off the Ball Pod. Just put Off the Ball Pod, it'll pop up. And on Facebook, I have my Facebook page, Off the Ball Podcast. You clicked on there, and all the information you'll find me on there. I'm very interactive on especially on Twitter. I'm very interactive, so you can find me there, and all the information will be there. So yeah, man, it's fun, man. I'm excited about everything, man. It's been a fun ride so far.
Yes, and like I said earlier today, when Chris and I first started recording, we are on the same team. We all hear about ESPN, FS1, CBS Sports. They don't really do like the cross promotions and stuff like that. However, I did see Bomani Jones and Nick Wright do a podcast together recently. Check that out. Chris, if you don't watch Bomani, if you don't listen to Bomani's podcast, check that out.
He blocked me on Twitter.
What?
He blocked me on Twitter a couple years ago. He said something really dumb. I don't remember. He said something really dumb. He blocked me, so we got beef. But
man,
I'm joking.
Man, but like I said, like those guys, yeah, super cool. Sometimes they can't cross promote like that. Me, Chris, we had Jeff on. You mentioned Chris Powell. There's a lot of other guys. We're in this just having fun, man. We're having fun. We're helping each other. Chris, LeBron, thank you once again for coming on the Jay Stevens podcast. Giants, Knicks, I have hope. I'm optimistic. I hope you are too, man. Thanks. I appreciate the time, man.
Thanks for having me on, Jay. It's a pleasure, brother.
Yes, sir.